I feel like when we think of our higher selves, we often think of the physicalities of it. What does our body look like? What does our hair look like? What does our wardrobe look like? What dream car do we drive? What home do we live in? But there is one thing that I think is most important of all when stepping into your higher self and becoming the best version of yourself. And it's the one thing that you will be able to control no matter where you are at in life, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much success you feel like you have, whatever is going on in your life. There is one thing of all that you can control at any time, and that is your mindset. Now, I know that this is probably the least glamorous thing of all when becoming your higher self or your best self or whatever it might be, but I promise you it is the most important because this is the foundation for how you do anything in life, for how you show up for yourself, for how you present yourself in the world. The number one thing is your mindset. And the first tip I have for a shift to make when becoming your higher self is to adopt a growth mindset. And I feel like this is something that is reiterated all the time everywhere. I've heard it since like elementary school, but I feel like we don't always put that into practice. You need to stop being a pessimist when it comes to life. Things can be difficult. Things can be challenging. Things can be not fun at times, but that does not mean we have to be negative about them all the time. So if you're trying something new, for example, instead of saying things like, this is difficult and I'm just not good at it, I'm never going to be good at it, reframe your phrasing and say something like, this is new and I'm learning and I will get better with time. Both phrases acknowledge whatever you're doing is not going to be easy. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, but one is optimistic while the other one is incredibly negative about it. When you are after your dream life, when you are after a version of yourself that you have never been before, it's going to be challenging. And I'm not saying the entire process is going to be miserable. That's not what it is. But when you are adopting new habits, you're learning and you're unlearning things that, could improve your life, it's not always going to be easy. So if you're going into situations knowing that, you might find a bit of challenge, you might find things a bit difficult, but having a positive mindset, an optimistic mindset, a growth mindset will, I think, make the process a lot more enjoyable for you. You will stop looking at things as just hard, and you'll stop looking at things as, your habits, for example, you'll stop looking at them as things that are just innate in you that you cannot change. You'll start looking at things from a more optimistic viewpoint and feel like, there's almost no challenge that you can't overcome. Now, the second mindset shift to have when stepping into your higher self is reframing how you view failure. I feel like our egos, make us feel like if we don't get something immediately that we're a failure. I feel like even just growing up, we're conditioned in society to think, okay, if I don't win something specifically, I'm a failure. If I don't hit this certain milestone by a certain age, failure. If I don't get an opportunity that I was expecting or hoping to get, failure. But let me tell you, true failure is quitting. You literally cannot be a failure if you keep going. You need to get to a point where you believe that things are happening for you and not to you. Because look at your life like a novel, right? There are so many chapters and not every chapter is going to be great. But if you stop reading the book at chapter 3 when something bad happens to the protagonist, then you're leaving your story where it's at. But if you keep going and you don't let small failures or mishaps or small, inconveniences stop you, how can you really fail? To me, everything is a lesson learned. So let's say I don't know, I had a performance, I had a gig and I didn't perform as well as I thought I would have. Instead of me thinking that I failed, I will look at it as an opportunity to learn. No matter what the situation is, even if it's a sucky one, we can pull learning and, wisdom from anything. So instead of looking at those situations and just being, butthurt about them or not getting your way, think about what you can do differently next time. Maybe that, opportunity or whatever it was that you didn't get wasn't for you. And like I said in the first point, when you get to a point that you believe, when you believe that you are meant for whatever you want, you are meant for greatness, then the little things really stop bothering you as much. When you genuinely believe in yourself and your capabilities, the little things really don't bother you. If you don't get something, you say, oh, well, I'll get the next one. I'll get the one that's meant for me. Start to view rejection as redirection. Instead of thinking, that there's only one opportunity that's meant for you that's going to get you to where you want to be, you understand that, you're going to end up where you need to be regardless, and you kind of just have to go through life enjoying the journey and being positive about things. I want everyone to say it with me. What is meant for me will be for me, and no one can take that away. The third mindset shift I need you to make when stepping into your higher self is an abundance mindset. Having an abundance mindset, focusing on what you already do have. I feel like when we are after our goals and, we're on this journey of achieving things that we don't currently have, we sometimes get wrapped up in the future and sometimes forget what we already do have. We sometimes ignore what we already do have. For me, I know I often have conversations with my friends, and we live in a city that is pretty expensive to live in, and we'll often be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till I have my own place and I can decorate it how I want and I can do what I want and I have peace and blah 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 blah, which is still true. I would love to have my own place, but by focusing solely on that, I tend to lose focus on what I already do have. I currently live at home and I don't have to pay rent. Wow, sometimes I come home and food is already made for me. These are things that I wouldn't get to experience if I was just living by myself. I also have a lot of people to talk to, which is fun. It's kind of nice to, go home and be able to like have a little chat with my family. But I feel like, when you focus on what you do have and you adopt an abundance mindset and you're focusing on gratitude, you invite space and you invite room for more beautiful things to happen in your life. There is no sense in being miserable about what you don't have right now, because being angry about it is not going to change your situation. It's not. Me being, so caught up in having my own place is not going to change my current situation right now. But I can make things enjoyable for myself by being appreciative of what I already do have in this moment, knowing that I will get to where I want to be. I will get what I want eventually. Now, this applies to everything in life. People with abundance mindsets don't get intimidated when other people's light shines because they know that their light is bright enough. They don't feel robbed when other people get opportunities because they know there are opportunities that are meant for them as well. They don't get jealous of people that have, wealth because they know there is enough money on the planet for all of us to live comfortably. It shows up in how you react to the world and how you show up for yourself. People can tell, people can feel it in your energy, if you really do believe that you have enough and that you are enough. People with abundance mindsets do not cry over spilt milk. They go to the grocery store and buy some more milk. They just buy some more milk. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's in these moments where you feel lack, where you feel like you don't have enough, that it's most important for you to adopt that mindset and think about what you're grateful for. Now, I want you to, after this video, write down 3 things you're grateful for in your life right now, because there are so many things that I guarantee we're not thinking about on a daily basis because we just expect them, that we can, show a little appreciation for, show a little bit of gratitude for. Do you have clean water to drink? Do you have a bed to sleep in? Do you have beautiful connections with people around you? Do you have the ability to choose what you want to eat, to choose where you want to go, what car you want to drive, who you want to hang out with, how you spend your time? The list goes on and on and on, but I just want us to get into the habit of really thinking about what we do have in this moment, because when things get taken away from us, I feel like that's when we really start to think, oh shoot, I really wish I did still have this in my life. But don't wait for things to disappear. Don't wait for things to be taken away from you to appreciate them and have some gratitude. Show gratitude now. Be rooted in abundance. Now, getting to our dream selves is going to be a journey. Nobody said it was going to be an easy process. There's going to be a lot of learning and unlearning involved. But we want that journey to be as enjoyable as possible. And going in and knowing that there may be some challenges, things may be a bit difficult, but choosing to persist and continue to go on anyways will make all of the difference. We're not trying to, get to a version of ourselves that has never been there, that is hard to come by. We're trying to get to a point where our true selves, who have always been on the inside, can show through, shine through in our lives, and we're able to just be our happiest, best, most grateful selves in life in general, just to be happy, really. Growth does not happen overnight, but eventually, with the little steps every day, you can get to a point where you're happy with who you are. You are confident in yourself. You're rooted in what you have, and your abilities and your love in your life and everything in between. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you all so bad. If you have any other mindset tips, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And that's it for me this week. Have a wonderful day. Bye.